Hello and welcome to the SE25 cast. Today we have a chat about the 1-1 draw with Newcastle, take a look ahead at the fixtures coming up, and discuss Jamibi's obsession with the worst Crystal Palace players on offer.
Hello and welcome back to the SE25 cast, episode 4. Today we have two new guests to the pod. Why don't you introduce yourselves, lads?
Well, I'm Nick, I'm South London born and bred, and I'm an alcoholic. No, not that last bit, just the first bit.
Hi, I'm Jamabi. You might have heard my drunken stories on Discord, not so much on the sub though, but yeah, I'm South London as well.
Right, so we should move on to the Newcastle game. Ended 1-1, and it was very much a game of two halves, I would say. So we'll talk about the first half. Going into half-time, what were your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, it really was one, wasn't it? We looked so bad in the first half. We were really, really under the cosh, and it was one of those ones, you're sitting there, you're wondering, it really didn't look like we were going to get a point out of it. But credit to Roy at the end of the day, turned us around, got us out there, got us a point from it, but it was a strange one, because by the end of the game, you kind of felt that we should have taken two, but there you are. Our defence looked quite bad, I thought, but that's to be expected with the injuries, really, isn't it? I mean, two injuries away from wheeling out Delaney, Hannibal Lecter style, and having him kind of just stand in front of the goal. Which
yes, let's not
great.
talk about Delaney until it's necessary.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, the defending for that corner was pretty grim. I mean, it's not something that you'd expect from Hodgson's side, especially.
Yeah,
but,
in the first half, we seem to have a lot of issues at the back post. What were your thoughts on that, Jimmy?
Well, basically on the first half where I'm sitting, Block C, I'm right by that. And obviously when that corner came in and that goal went in, I was just like, what the hell? But there was multiple times where even like everyone in Block C and B was screaming, there's someone there. Like it just always seemed like someone was there and none of our players were with them. So yeah, it was a bit terrible, really.
It was, and of course they got the goal through it going to the back post, and then Mo Diame slots it into basically an empty net. None of the players seem to be playing to the standard that they have been doing this season under the revival.
Apart from Patrick Van Aanholt, who I thought had his best game in a Palace shirt.
Again, still going in the first half. He was good in the first half, one of the only shining lights. But
yeah, but he was pretty much the only good player. Although Hennessy was all right. I mean, they could have had another one in the first half.
Hennessy kept us in the game. Do you think that's one of his better games for Palace? Barring Chelsea results?
You got me. Yeah, it's one of his better ones, isn't it? There wasn't any of his usual Hennessy moments. One of the ones where
he seems to be much better out at claiming the ball, doesn't he?
It's strange, isn't it? I'm not really sure what his issue is, whether it's mental or whether he just lapses in concentration. But it's weird because you'd expect that to be consistent over games, when more often than not he'll have one great game, one terrible game, rather than just having lots of little tiny mistakes. And I don't understand him. He's a strange keeper, and with Speroni not going to be around, we really need to get someone new, because you never know when he's going to drop you right in it.
Of course, at the end of the half, we suffered another defensive injury in Kelly. But we saw the return of Mamadou Sakho, who was thankfully ready to come on. What were your thoughts on that, Jamibi?
Well, like I've discussed with some people, he's a nice guy, Sakho. You love to love him, but there's sometimes where you just think sometimes it's going to be a bit rocky, and he does some just lunatic moves but you just feel safe with him at the same time as well. It's a bit of a strange player, really. But yeah, I was glad to see him back, and he got a good reception from the fans and stuff as well. So it's nice to see that. Yeah, he's still well liked with everyone. He hasn't really done anything for anyone to be annoyed at. But yeah, no, it was good to see him back, and I think we're stronger with him on the pitch, really.
He made a couple of very good passes and showed that he had good distribution in the second half when he had more game time. Do you think that's something we've been missing?
I mean, especially if we're going to be playing Riederwalde in midfield. Because that was the thing at the start of the season, wasn't it? We bring in Frank de Boer, we start playing out from the back, we change our entire kind of method and kind of style approach to the game. But since then, we've got a bit more, gone a bit backwards, regressed a bit. And especially with Scott Dan, who I always thought was quite good at playing out from the back, with him not around. And, with our current kind of defensive shape at the moment, we're kind of trying to be a little less adventurous, keep it simple, make it easier for people to transition back into the side as they come off injury. Having Sacco back was nice because he's got that ability to just split straight through, bypass the midfield if we need to, go straight to a striker. It was really good to see him back. I'm a huge fan.
And then, of course, we'll move on to the second half now, where coming in out of half-time, Roy didn't make any subs, but he did make one change. The positioning of James McArthur and Wilfred Zaha, they swapped. So James was up front and in a more central role, and Wilf was pushed outside to be able to do what he does on the wide areas. What was your thought on this, and how did it affect how the team in general played?
Well, I thought it was a good change, obviously, because, obviously, on that half, they're shooting down the side where we are, so we can see the goal a lot better. And you saw Wilf, obviously, Van Aanholt was coming down, slotting it into Wilf, and MacArthur seemed to, I don't know what they gave him at half time, but he completely changed when he came out, and Patrick Van Aanholt was even better than he was in the first half as well. Everyone just seemed to everyone was just so much better. Even, I know we talk about Benteke and everyone sort of slags him off on the scoring and stuff, but there's times where he holds it up, he wins more or less every header that he can win as well. And
he flicks it on to everyone when he needs to. Credit
to the guy, but obviously he had a couple of how did you not score that moments on that game as well? But yes, that's just Benteke, isn't it?
It is a little strange because Roy's halftime switches and kind of tactical maneuverings, he's really good at them. I don't think I've ever seen a Palace game under him where I've sat there and think, well, the second half was terrible when the first one was so poor. We come out and we compete in the second half. But I do find it strange how he's very loath to use his subs. How many games have we actually seen more than one sub used in? Because I can't remember many. It's generally one sub, often enforced recently anyway. And then he just if we're in a position where he thinks that we're doing well, we'll just see it out. And it seems a little bit cautious to me at times. But hey, what do I know? He's Roy Hodgson after all. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, we do seem to have a lack of subs, but do you think that's just down to the lack of players on the bench, and with the window and players like Rakip, who scored for the under-23s recently, and Alexander Sorloff coming in, do you think that will help allow Roy to make the subs that he would probably want to make if we had more squad depth?
Yeah, it's hard to tell how much he kind of rates our bench at the moment. But yeah, I think so. It'd be nice to see people phased in over the next few weeks. Maybe we'll see Rakip. I'd love to see some Surloff. Personally, I would have liked to see him in that game. Maybe just 5 or 10 minutes at the end, see what he can do. Benteke was linking up play all right, but wasn't. I mean, he's so bereft of confidence in front of goal. It's really quite sad to see, because when he's on form, I remember that chip against Chelsea. It's beautiful, but it would have been nice to see Surloff, I think, and I'd like to see the new ones getting phased in over the next few weeks, and maybe we'll see a few more subs then.
Okay, we'll move on to the penalty. Was it a penalty, Jimmy?
I think so. I was screaming when I saw Benteke getting dragged down, and I definitely think it was a penalty. I know that the referee wasn't the best throughout the entire game, but I definitely thought he was pretty spot on that one, to be fair.
The ref was a bit inconsistent about shirt pulls, though. There was another one which we could have had the exact same penalty shout. Shelvey holding on to one of our players. Should that also have been a penalty?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you've got to be consistent, even if it was the other way around and one of our players pulled one of their players' shirts. You've got to be consistent. But I think based on his first half performance, just the ref, I think Palace were ready to jump out of the seats at him, but in the second half, it seemed like Newcastle were ready to jump out of the seats at him. It's I guess, I don't know. He was just kind of bad, really. I know people were getting very, very agitated around where I was sitting at some of the decisions in the first half. It just seemed like as soon as one of their players got near the ball that we had, they would just drop on the floor or something, and it's just instantly a free kick. But the other way around, especially Zaha was getting bullied a couple of times in the first half, and we was just getting nothing for it. So, I mean, it's hard to see back in the Homesdale when it's right up the other end, but he just seems to don't get any protection from the ref at all, the Zaha.
I mean, he is accused of diving a lot, isn't he?
Yeah.
And you wonder whether that's the refs are kind of being taking countermeasures in order to make sure that he's not trying to fool them or anything. But I mean, he does go down often, but he goes down for a reason. He's hacked every single game. I think there was was it in the first or maybe early in the second half when we had what I thought was a better penalty shout than the one that we were actually given. Somebody cut down, it might have been Zaha in the area, and we got nothing for it. And I find it a little weird, but hey, I mean, it evens out at the end of the day. I'm not certain that our penalty was a penalty. I think you see that kind of thing happen a lot in games now. But we've also had it happen against, I think it was last season when we lost the game on the strength of a penalty given by a shirt pull. And, strange enough, by Delaney. But there you go. I mean, these things even out at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true.
Of course, we'll talk about the penalty itself. How much did both of you shit yourselves after Luka took it? Thankfully, it went in. But how much were you shitting yourself when you saw it taken?
I think you need to believe in Luka more. I think we need to shun the unbeliever. I never had any doubt.
If we see me on the Discord, you know that I believe a bit too much.
Yeah, you were the man behind Man Like Serbia picks, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I didn't actually celebrate the goal because I was too ashamed. Because as soon as I saw the save, I just put my head in my hands like no, and then next minute it was yeah, and I was like, oh, we're supposed to celebrate, and then like it was just like when you're still head in hands, it was too late to celebrate, so I sort of just awkwardly stood there. Yeah, I didn't know what to do, to be fair, but obviously, I think it's good for him that I know it was ish a goal, like he did get his hands to it, but to be credit to the keeper, he'd done very well with it. But I'm glad that Lucas scored that because after obviously missing the one against City, I think it wouldn't have done him any favours at all. So
yeah, that was the point of the match. Both keepers played well. How did you feel about Darlow's performance? Because he made a couple very key saves to keep us out.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he? I mean, from what I've talked to Newcastle fans about him, they seem to think he's kind of maybe a top-end championship keeper. But apart from one flap at a cross, I think he looked really solid. And it was strange to see two kind of maligned keepers playing so well, really. But I always thought Darlow was all right. But what do I know? I watch Hennessy every day. Every week, rather. Not every day. That would be terrifying.
That would be very masochistic of you. Of course, there's something that's been prevalent in pretty much every game, bar the ones versus the top six. And that is our inability to hit the target. In the Newcastle match alone, we had 20 shots, only 6 were on target. How much of an issue has that been, not just in this game, but in our season in general?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I'm not sure who posted it on the sub, but someone was talking about Benteke being top of the must score chances or whatever the official word is.
Goals,
yeah, and it's just like, I mean, it's like, I think people discredit Benteke a lot because I know, as I said it before, like he chests it down, he keeps the ball well, like very, very well. That's why I was surprised that even if Hodgson risked taking someone like Kabay off and put Sorloth up with Benteke and just really went for the win and just got Benteke to chest it down and forward it onto him. And I just, I was surprised. Like, again, I was surprised not to see Sorloth come on, but like we said, he sort of knew what he was doing more than us, I guess. Some random guys on a podcast, but yeah.
It's really bad, isn't it? Because it's easy to be biased as a fan, say, he should have scored that one. But you look back over them, and there's so many that we should have put away this season that would have got us points, and we haven't been taking them. And on one hand, that's depressing, obviously. You should have got more points. On the other, you look at it and you think, well, at least we're creating them. At least we're getting those chances. And who knows? Maybe we'll put a couple in. Maybe Sorloth turns out to be the next Andy Johnson. We'll start... we'll start getting a few more points, climbing up the table. But hey, there's not much we can do until we see how he does there. So let's not lump too much expectation on him. He says after saying that he should be the next Anthony Johnson.
I believe Palace are something like 6th or 7th for expected goals in the entire league.
This podcast brought to you by crippling depression.
Yeah, pretty much. It is depressing though. Like I took a Chelsea fan from work to but the Burnley game, I know we won, but she even said after the game, like I understand how you come to work, and when people talk about football, you're just in the kitchen, just like, for God's sake, because they're like, oh, you guys should have won on the weekend. You're like, yeah, like every weekend, more or less. It's just, there's so many chances that we get. I remember going back to the Burnley game when we played at their place, when Scott Dan had that chance, and he's just like right in the middle of the goal, and you're just like, how did you not score it? And it's just them chances are the ones that are just annoying and depressing, definitely.
One of the highlights of the match was we had a bit of the Super Bowl come to Selhurst with a pitch invader and a steward with an amazing tackle. What was your thoughts on this?
To be honest, to me, it was actually the highlight of the game. To be fair, me and I go with my sister, and we was crying basically. As soon as when he came on, he sort of fell over the side to get in, so he was on the floor, and I was looking. I was like, "What is he doing?" And then he sort of tried to run on the pitch, but it was slipping, so he was like Roadrunner running on the spot. And I was like, "What is he doing?" And the next minute, he runs on and just splashes beer in his face, and then not a couple of minutes later, I'm getting pinged on Discord. Jammerby, is that you on the pitch? I'm like, what? So it proves my reputation on Discord, I guess, when I'm getting accused of that.
That was a well-worked story, that one, wasn't it? Took you a couple of days
to
come
defense.
Up. Yeah. All I want to know is, does that steward play right back? Because we could probably do with him, to be honest.
I was thinking sign him up, so...
Exactly. Sign him up, indeed. Put him on a right back. I mean, he's probably got less pace than Fosu Mensah, but he can tackle.
And then he is a fan of his hair, so...
That is something I want to bring up. In the previous pod, we talked a lot about Timothy Fosu Mensah and how his positioning was deteriorated. How did you feel he played this game? Because to me, I thought the positioning just gotten worse, and there was a few times he was caught out.
Yeah, he seemed to be getting worse over the season. I'm not really sure how, because somebody made the point in the subreddit the other day that maybe he's always been this good. It's just at the beginning of the season, the level of the team collectively was worse. And so as the teams got better, he's looked worse by comparison. Maybe that's true, but he just does the stupidest things sometimes. It's just not following his man, just positionally, he'll be in completely the wrong place. He'll make a silly tackle when he doesn't need to. And it's so frustrating because he's got every single physical tool you could possibly want. I mean, physically, he's an absolute monster. He can beat pretty much anyone in the league in a foot race. He's strong as an ox. You can tell the coach will look at him and think he's a dream prospect. But he just does silly, silly things, and he's been doing it more and more. And I think, if anything, it proves... I mean, look, I love Joel Ward. I always have. I've always defended him against the haters, but I do think, it really proves how good Joel Ward has been for us over the past few years when you're watching Fosu Mensah do really stupid things like that week in, week out now.
Yeah, I noticed with especially the slide tackles that game he was just sliding in like a lunatic and missing the man completely and the ball, and it was just like, what are you doing? So, yeah.
But one thing I think you can credit for him is after the match, he went on Twitter and he admitted openly to not having the best games and that his individual performance, he called himself out and said it wasn't the best. Do you think that his decision making is just due to a lack of experience at this level, or is it just something ingrained within him? Do you think he can improve past this?
I mean, the issue with this question is that it shouldn't matter to us, really. He's going to go back to Man U at the end of the season, and I don't think we have any prospect of getting him. So he's got to play in the here and now, and we've got to evaluate him now. And at the moment, it's not great, is it? What is he, 20 years old? I think he's 20. There's still time for him, but I don't think it'll be with us. So I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with that. My cousin's a United fan, and every time he plays, he's like, "Oh yeah, he's doing well, good, isn't he? Yeah, Timothy, all this." And then I texted him at half time, and I was like, "Yeah, he's not having a good game, is he?" But you still defended him and said, "No, he's doing good, and he's doing good." But yeah, he definitely improved in the second half. But yeah, the first half wasn't the best, and yeah, like Nick said too rightly, so I can't see us signing him. So he has to play good for us now, really. Otherwise, we don't really care if he goes good or bad after he leaves us. So yeah, we'll see how he does in Everton, I guess.
Patrick Van Aanholt, was that his best performance in a Palace shirt? He showed that he was an ex-Sunderland player, I think, today. Not today, during the match.
he's my boy.
Wait, is that a compliment? I'm confused. That doesn't sound like a compliment to me. I think.
No, that isn't a compliment. Wow.
I think he had, fantastic game. I really do think he had a really good game. I've always preferred him over Schlupp back when, we had the kind of debate about Van Aanholt and Schlupp. But what is he? He's getting on a little bit. I mean, he's 27, I think.
Yes,
there's not going to be much. There's not much leeway for improvement, and there's not going to be much resale value after a couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we look at another left back in the summer, especially if Soiree does not make a kind of full-time proper return, which is entirely possible. I mean, it was such a nasty accident he was in. So we'll see with Paddy Van Aanholt. His issue's never been his ability. It's always been the consistency, really, because he's another one who's got all the tools for it, but can't always put it together. But I guess we'll find out by summer, because I think he might be playing for his Palace future, to be honest.
Yeah. I've obviously got to give a shout out to my boy, because I get, obviously, I know not all of you guys will be on the Discord, but I've had the mick taken out of me for my shirt choices, and I was proud to have my Patrick Van Aanholt shirt on that game, even though it was too cold. So I had the jacket on, and I was like, do I take my jacket off and just show him that I'm supporting him? But no, the guys behind me even were like, yeah, he's doing really well today, Patrick Van Aanholt, and it was good to see, because he's been slowly going uphill, so that's a good thing. Like he's getting better every game, because obviously he's one of my favorite Palace players at the moment. So I'm looking out for him, and I definitely think that was the best game I've seen him play in, and it was worth being on the field.
I think this is the biggest gathering of Patrick Van Aanholt fans in the entire world. It's literally just us and his family who are this big fans of him.
I'm assuming both of you would have Patrick as your man of the match?
Yeah, by some distance, definitely. I think.
Okay, then who was the worst performer for Palace, and why?
Oh, I don't like to say Timothy, because I know we just slagged him off a bit before, but based on the first half performance, I think the team as a whole weren't as good as the second half. So I mean, even Cabaye, I remember saying to the guy next to me, what's happened to Cabaye this in the first half? And then I know Jimmy Mack wasn't as good as obviously I think everyone just went up, but I mean, maybe we should do a man of the match and the worst man for the first and second half, really. But in the first half, I'd definitely say Timothy. But I don't know, I feel bad, because he's been really good for us. And like Nick said, he's got all the tools for the job, like Patrick as well. So I'll go with Fosu-Mensah just because he sort of held his hands up as well, even though I thought he was good in the second half.
To be contrarian, I mean, I think Fosu-Mensah was arguably our worst player there. But I wasn't very impressed with Townsend. He was the bad Andros Townsend that day. I think he was, running down blind alleys, shooting when he should have passed, passing when he should have shot. Just the kind of bad decision making you'd expect from a bad Andros Townsend game. I thought he was probably our worst attacker there. Possible exception Benteke, but I thought Benteke brought something to proceedings. Whereas Townsend looked like he was just doing a bad impression of Wilf.
Speaking of Wilf, about 3 minutes in, he was hobbling. Now he might be out for a month. Some are saying the rest of the season. How do you think this will impact our run into the end of the season and the team in general?
I think it's, not to be too positive about it, it's probably the best time it could have happened, seeing as we've got kind of, apart from Everton, because I'm going to Everton, and I would have liked to have won that game, obviously making that trip up there. But I mean, it depends on how long he's out. I mean, if I know the team's Palace, it's not just Zaha, but I know he's extremely, extremely good for us. But you would hope that if he did miraculously go in the January window when Spurs and all that lot are after him, what would we be thinking now if he did go? Who would take his place? I mean, another one of my boys, Chung-Yun Lee.
You just like every bad Palace player.
Literally, it's like, get me the worst Palace player and I will have his shirt and I will love him.
All right, where is Matty Lawrence? Is he still playing for us?
Where's Much's shirt?
Oh, Jesus.
I did have
That's too
Punch
far.
the season before, but I mean, he was quite good 3 seasons ago. It was Punch, Chung-Yun Lee, Patrick Van Aanholt. So, I mean, Punch was a good one. Chung-Yun Lee, I mean, I went to that Stoke game and I was obviously drunk, as you are, an away game, if you're Jammerby. And as soon as that goal went in, I literally nearly fell down the stand. I was going mad. So as soon as that moment, he was my hero forever. So he had to be on the shirt next season, regardless of his performances after that. And to be fair, like, I know he screwed up really bad in the Burnley game, but we haven't actually really seen a crazy amount of him. Like, I know every time he does come on, he comes on like sort of near the end and he doesn't do amazing or whatever, and everyone just sort of slags him off. But I'd like to see him like start one time and actually just play the whole thing and just to really see how he is. I mean, he's done a one wonder goal and he's won my heart from that. But let's see what else he can do.
You know, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. I genuinely think he's not a right player at all. I'd like to see more of him. I don't think we've seen enough of him in a Palace shirt. That mistake was terrible, but
yeah,
you know, we've come to deal with our players making terrible mistakes as Palace. Not least our goalkeeper. But with Zaha, it's Will Zaha. At the end of the day, he's easily our best player. But he does also have a tendency to kind of dominate play and demand the ball and make us play through him, which is fine when he's playing like Wilfried Zaha. But recently he has been a little off kilter, and he wasn't great that game. I mean, maybe it was because of the injury. I don't know. But he hasn't been great recently. And that has a bit of a detrimental effect when we're dominating the game and we're trying to find a way through somebody, and Zaha demands it, gets it, runs into somebody, loses the ball immediately and falls over and then complains at the ref. You know, I'd like to see something a little different. I think someone like Lee would be quite a little more patient. He hasn't got the pace, but he's got a reasonable brain for the game and he's quite a hard worker. Ideally, I would like to say Surloth would be nice to see up front alongside Benteke. I don't think losing Zaha would be that much of an issue. I think we're going to lose the games that we were probably going to lose anyway, and I don't think Zaha would have pushed us to any points in them. But we'll reassess that in a month's time, or whenever he's back. Hopefully a month. We'll hope and pray that it's not anything longer. That would be bad. But hey, we'll see. We'll see when it happens.
The relegation battle this season is heating up to a very dramatic effect. It's still very tight. How do you feel about the teams around us, how they're doing, how their season's been, and who do you think's going to be relegated at the end of the season?
Well, I mean, we keep waiting, I think collectively, all of the fans of Pardew's previous clubs, for the Pardew bounce to happen, and it's just not happening to West Brom. They are really quite bad at the moment, and you look at them and you think they've not really got anyone. I mean, who's their best attacker? Salomon Rondon? Like a 50-year-old Chris Brunt. I like Matty Phillips, but Jay Rodriguez, I guess there's nothing. There's nothing really there. There's nobody you look at their team and think, oh, that's a quality player. I think I can't really. Oh, apart from Gregor Kaczoriak, the Polish defensive mid, but that's not going to keep you up by himself. I can't see past them going down. I think Huddersfield are probably going to go down. I think Stoke are going to survive somehow. I'm not sure why, but I see Stoke kind of winning through just on the strength of chucking Peter Crouch up there in the dying moments of the game to win headers. So I think it could be anyone from 12th downwards, really. It could be one of us. It could be us, could be West Ham, could be Brighton, could be Saints or Newcastle, or Swansea. But if I had to pick any one of those, I wouldn't be surprised if... You know what? I'll go for the left field choice, and I'll say Southampton. I think they might go down. I think with the way they're performing recently, it's another one of those ones where you look at it and go, oh, they're too good to go down. I say, well, I'm not sure they are. With how the form they're in and how they've been playing. Well, I say the form they're in. I think they haven't lost in 5, but hey, the points they picked up, rather, it's not great. So we'll see with that.
I would probably agree with West Brom. Like I said, like you said, with Pardew, you were expecting them to just be like amazing and then suddenly just rubbish. And before I go on to the other two, I want to going back to the Newcastle game really quickly. I thought the Newcastle fans were actually brilliant in the first half. I know that it sort of died down when we scored and stuff, but I think this season at least they've probably been the loudest fans I've heard at Sellers. Even from Block C of the Homestyle, they were roaring. So yeah, good job to them fans. If any Newcastle fans wanted to tune into this, but yeah, So I'd definitely say West Brom and Huddersfield. I remember going to the first game of the season and speaking to a couple of Huddersfield fans, and they were so like, just genuine fans who just really loved the fact they're in the Premier League. And I know they got a bit cocky of us saying like, "Oh, is this the Premier League and stuff?" When they won, it was 3-0, right? Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're coming to the end of maybe their reign in the Premier League, and their last 5 games are losses, so it's not very good, is it? And other than that, I mean, as much as I sort of like Swansea, who sort of done a favour last season, I know they're winning some games that not that they shouldn't have. You can't really ever put your finger on anything in the Prem. I'd probably like to see them go down, probably as much as they'd like to see us go down to take that spot as well. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Huddersfield haven't won in 8. I didn't realise it was that bad.
I just saw the last 5, to be fair. That's mad.
Yeah, they haven't won a Premier League game in 8 matches. Their last 5 have all been losses. And who have they got coming up? They got Bournemouth, West Brom away. Spurs is probably going to be a loss, but actually these are important games because they got Swansea after that and then us at home for them. So that's the next 5 games for them is going to define their season. But I just don't see them staying up. I don't think they've got the quality. A good team. I like the fans. I think so long as they didn't panic in the winter transfer window, and they didn't try and spend hundreds of millions of pounds to try and stay up. I think if they go down, they'll be all right, and they'll be in contention again next year. So I think either way, it's not a huge loss for them if they do go down. But best of luck to them because I'd like them to stay up.
Yeah, so I'd like to see what would happen if we went against them now. If our next game was Huddersfield at home, would they beat us 3-0? I don't think so, but who knows?
One game I do want to talk about, which pertains to one of our rivals in the bottom half, Watford-Chelsea. Chelsea haven't had the best of seasons, and then they go and allow 4 goals in to Watford, get Bakayoko sent off in 30 minutes, and Hazard manages to squeeze in a goal.
God, it was funny, wasn't it?
Yep.
I didn't actually watch it, to be
fair. Chelsea were really bad. Bakayoko, I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like he's up to speed quite yet. Hazard was really good, but they were trying to play him as a striker, and he just doesn't get enough of the ball. As soon as they brought on Giroud, he dropped back a little bit, got on the ball a bit more, and scored a fantastic goal, which then Watford won-upped by getting Daryl Janmaat to score, which was kind of hilarious. And then they just kept going. You were sitting there kind of waiting for the Chelsea reply, but Watford just kept on piling forward and scoring goals. And Watford are up in 11th now. You got to think with the kind of form they're in, well, the kind of performance they put in, rather. If they can get anywhere close to that, they'll be fine. I don't really see them going down.
Yeah, they were terrible at one point. And going back to Chelsea, it's good for me because obviously there's a couple of Chelsea fans in the office, and they're looking at me head in hands more or less every game. So it's good to go up the office and look at the Chelsea fans, and you don't get a little smug comment about how Palace should have won a game or whatever. They're just all a little bit quiet. So we'll see what happens.
Before we move on to the Everton game, there's a player I want to talk about for his season in general and what he's contributed or not contributed. Benteke. He wins stuff in the air. He makes important flick-ons. He's got a few assists to his name, but at this point, not taking into account last season when he scored 17 for us, how do you feel about him?
I don't know. Christian Benteke is so close to being such a good player for us, but there's that lack of confidence is what I'm assuming. Who knows? It could be something else, but you're assuming that lack of confidence. Every time he's on the ball, he looks a little hesitant. What's strange is that when he's got less time on the ball, he seems to do better. Like there was a little bit of interplay as we went into the Newcastle box in that game, and he beautifully just a little flick layoff. He had a couple of seconds to react to it. Flick layoff, just off to another player. I thought, that's brilliant. That's exactly what we want. And then he went and did that awful piece of attempt at goal where he tried to, I don't know, knee it in and completely missed from a yard out with an open goal.
It was quick though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Which
It's
might
hard.
discount my point about needing less time to do well. But I don't know. I really wish he would be good, but I wish more that we would have someone like Connor Wickham to give us another option.
Yeah,
because when Benteke is not working, he really doesn't work at all. Because it's not like he's going to be running around the pitch, pressuring people, and kind of running the channels like, say, Wickham would.
To be fair, he's got better at that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Definitely. I think definitely on home games anyway, because as much as I don't know how much they listen to the fans, but the fans don't let him get away with it anymore. I noticed that like it's getting worse. Like if he doesn't run, they're just like, come on! Like people are screaming at him to go after the ball and stuff. And there was times where their keeper was just holding the ball when they were 1-0 up, and everyone was like, come on, like you're acting like we're winning, like you press the ball and everything. I did a Man United fan came from my work, actually, not with me, but he said he got tickets and he was sitting in Upper Holmesdale, and he did say that like what an atmosphere we had for that game as well. Like it was just, especially after that pitch invader, I think he made it all a bit more exciting, and it brought the atmosphere up and stuff. And I quite like Benteke though, as much as he depresses me. Like Nick said, he's got everything there. Like he could be like a good player. It's just missing that confidence, and I think, I don't know, maybe he'll get it back and he'll start playing well, and then if we do stay up next season, maybe he'll turn into the Benteke that he was last season. But I mean, maybe Soloff will do it for him. Who knows?
But this is the issue at the end of the day, though, isn't it? I mean, what else do we do? We kind of have to believe in Christian Benteke because we've got nobody else. Sakho's out. Wickham's uncertain recovery. I mean,
I think he's dead, and the club's just not telling us.
We'll find his bones at some point during the rebuild of Selhurst Park.
It's the new season of CSI. I've got to go in and do it.
Crime scene Norwood. But yeah, we can't not believe in him. We can't not want for him to do well. Especially with there's no guarantees on how good Surloth is.
Yeah, definitely. But
I really desperately want Benteke to do well because he's a great player to watch when he's on form. He just bullies defenders.
Yeah.
And I've got a few Villa fan friends who keep on kind of insisting, "Oh, he'll come good. Don't trust me. We love him." It's like, okay, but he's terrible. Yeah, but we love him. Yeah, all right. But if we do manage to get him into some form, he's such a good player for us, for our style of play. And how we can kind of unlock the potential of our squad. He's perfect for it, and I really hope he comes good.
Yeah, definitely. But what do you think of in terms of him getting the delivery? Because I know at the start of the season, I felt sorry for him because what was he actually supposed to do? And even the best striker in the world isn't going to do much with what we was giving him. And I think we don't do him any favors. But I mean, it's getting better, obviously, with Townsend on the West Ham game with that cross. That's what you need to do. Just get it to his head. But then, obviously, there's been a couple of times, even in that Newcastle game, where we've got it to him, and then he just panics and then doesn't do anything. And you can see it in his face. He's not meaning to do it. You can see he's gutted. And it's like Zaha as well. When he misses it, you see him like biting his teeth, just thinking, God, how did I miss that? And they're genuinely gutted. I mean, Benteke seems to have the passion to want to play with us and play for us. But he's just, the bad misses are not doing him any favors at all.
And yeah, like you said, though, it is a lot about the delivery because from right back, Ward's got an okay cross. Fossa Mensah's generally bad at it. Left back, you don't know what's going on with left back ever. I mean, Patrick Van Aanholt is Van Aanholt. So we can't really rely on his delivery to be great. Townsend, I think, is a really good crosser, but he seems to choose the wrong moments to do it. He's always
doesn't do it enough.
Well, yeah, exactly, and doesn't do it enough. He'd much rather cut inside and take a shot. But I do like it when he gets down on the byline, cuts back and delivers one on his stronger foot, and it whips across goal, and it's always really aesthetically pleasing. But there's so few people on the end of it. And Zaha, he's good. He's got a good delivery. He's not a fantastic crosser, but he's good enough. But that's it, isn't it? We're not only do we not get enough good balls into Benteke, but I think we just don't get enough people into the box. it's easy for them to defend against Benteke when they've got 3 people on him, just standing around him, because nobody else is making a run into the box. And as kind of iffy as MacArthur's form has been this year, that is the one thing he is good at from our team. He will always try and get into the box, get into the flick-ons, and get in and around him. And I think somebody like that is going to be absolutely invaluable to us going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone... I know I said that the fans at Selhurst don't give Benteke a chance, and obviously we're on him when he doesn't chase, but it just seems like, especially defence as well, they're terrified of the fans sometimes. Like, it's like they don't want to do anything wrong because they don't want to get, like, hassle from the fans. And I mean, that's good and bad, because when you're doing good, they're probably like, yeah, come on. I remember that, was it Burnley game where we were singing, like, Wayne Hennessy? And then he like, I think he tweeted something about, like, he was really glad that, like, he heard, like, his song, and he was, like, happy about it and stuff. So, I mean, they're obviously listening to us, and they know what we feel like. And I feel like it's just part of being a Palace fan to just be depressed at the littlest thing. But, I mean, at the same time, we didn't lose. I mean, I know it was a penalty, but you can't really fault them too bad. We should have won, but we didn't lose. So if we'd lost it, it'd be a different kind of depression, I think, today. But, yeah.
So we'll move on to the Everton game now. What are your thoughts going into this game? Just how do you think we'll do? How do you think Everton will do? Considering their previous result, Arsenal absolutely annihilating them with the 2 new signings, Aubameyang coming in and scoring, Mkhitaryan getting a hat-trick of assists and, I believe, a goal, and Aaron Ramsey with a hat-trick.
I mean, we're no stranger to getting blown away by Arsenal, but it's not really what you'd expect from a Sam Allardyce team. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff from the Everton fan base. They're not happy with him, and you can kind of see why, because his whole modus operandi is to lock it down, respect the point, get a goal, but just be solid. And they just haven't. They just really haven't. I mean, I saw that 5-1 loss to Arsenal, which is just some shambolic stuff there. And then obviously they lost to, I think it was Spurs a couple of games ago, 4-0. And you're looking at them, you're going, they're not really good at anything at the moment. They're not solid at the back. They're unadventurous going forward. Theo Walcott's looked like a decent signing for them. And, Seamus Coleman's back. But they're not inspiring at all. I think we have a decent chance of taking a point off them, maybe 3 if we get a little lucky. But either way, I'm not that scared of them, which I thought I kind of would be if they had Allardyce under control. But no, they're just a nothing kind of team at the moment, which is surprising considering how much money they spent and what a squad they've got at their disposal.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, to be honest. I think when you think of Everton, I know, like, you wouldn't think they would have even been a relegation team, and to panic and sack the manager and get Allardyce in to keep them up, like, you're just like, what is going on? And I mean, like I said earlier, I'm going to Everton, so I hope, well, for one, I hope I remember it, and 2, I hope we win. Obviously, that's the most important thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really too worried about it either. I would sort of agree with Nick. I really think we can at least get a point there, and if we turn up, I mean, Everton's always been a weird one with us. I remember, was it last season where Delaney had that header called offside and we drew, we should have won? And I mean, we had that thing with the penalty shout where Nias got banned for 2 games after that, and we probably should have won it 2-1. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I reckon, yeah, I agree with Nick. I reckon it's a 1-pointer, and if we turn up, we can get 3 points for sure.
Oh, I will say, Cenk Tosun absolutely guaranteed to score against us. I mean, obviously, like, how could he not? He's clearly going to score against us, but there it is. So we'll just have to deal with that one as it comes.
Not only do Everton have an ex-manager of ours, they also have an ex-player. Do we feel that Bolasie will play, and how badly to shreds will he rip us if he does play?
I actually don't see him playing. I don't think he's been bad, apparently. Maybe that injury's really done him in, and I really hope that's not the case, because, we all love Yannick Bolasie. All of us.
He's a joy to watch.
You don't like football if you don't like Yannick Bolasie. But he's really not been good, and he apparently hasn't really fit their system too well, and he isn't very good at defending, apparently, for them, which is strange, because I never
I never had him down as an outright bad defender for us. I mean, yeah, he was a little bit lazy and a little bit kind of lost his man in defence occasionally, but he was never outright bad. But according to some Everton fans, he's not been good at all in that respect. So he's not getting...
I think when it comes to the whole tracking back thing is when Balassi was here, it was always Wilf that was worse at defending. So we were going at Wilf more and praising Yannick, even though Yannick was bad at it at times. He just actually did it more than Wilf.
Yeah, that is true. And Wilf's got better at it, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, if Everton kind of do badly and Balassi can say, "Oh, I can't get a look in. Maybe I'll come back to South London." Well, that'd be nice. It'd be lovely.
Yeah, I would have him back in a heartbeat.
Easily.
Like, speaking of heartbeat, I do miss the Yannick Balassi song as well. So had to get that little smooth transition.
That was so good.
Yes, that was a beautiful transition.
That was a smoother transition than Palace has done for the past year.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a joy to, and especially imagine going back to Yannick and Wilf either side. I mean, with Benteke in the middle, he's not going to be complaining about any deliveries. So yeah, I'm not too worried about him. But I did see him. Was it when they played Liverpool was it the FA Cup when he done that little run when they scored? And that was when you see Balassi, how Balassi is. But yeah, I haven't really seen much. Obviously, he was out, but I've got a couple of Everton fan mates, and they have not really ever said anything about Balassi to me. So I'm going to probably go with what you were saying, that he isn't really doing too well for them at the moment.
Okay, to wrap up the Everton segment, what do you feel predict the score and the scorers? Obviously, Nick's already thinking Tosin's going to score against us. Oh. And considering how much we were looking into getting him, I would tend to agree.
It's going to happen. Come on. Just accept it now and you'll be less angry on the day. I think it's going to be a 1-1. I think Tosin will score, obviously. And let's go for Benteke to get a bit of a confidence booster. He'll scramble one in at a corner or something.
Don't know. This is going to be hard for me because obviously I'm going to be there. So when I get it completely wrong, I'm going to be. I'll go with,
invading the pitch.
Well, maybe never. If Chung and Lee comes on and scores, if you see a guy shirtless with beer in his face, that's going to be me. But yeah, I'll go with Benteke. I reckon it's going to be. I reckon they'll score first, and then I'll be crying in my chair, thinking, "What am I doing? Why have I come up here?" And then Benteke he'll do a good header from a corner, and then we'll go, and that'll be in the first half. And the second half will come out. It'll be like a really boring game, and then sort of 80th, 83rd minute, I'm gonna go with. I'll say Milivojevic will do one of these like bangers that he done at Southampton, and then we'll come in with 3 points, I reckon.
Do either of you want to, with the amount of injuries that we have, obviously, try and predict a lineup for the team? For us, not for Everton. You don't have to do Everton.
I reckon it'd be probably, obviously, apart from Zaha, pretty similar to what we had against Newcastle, and Kelly, I guess, as well. And he was
Kelly's done, but he's got a straight straw, isn't he?
But is Sacco match fit? Like for I'm trying to think of when Kelly came off and Sacco came on.
Just before half time.
Okay, so he played
87th minute.
Wait, what?
It was
how wrong?
45 plus 2.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Yeah, I reckon maybe Sacco will start then. And obviously I'm biased with Chung Young Lee, but I'd like to see him come on, even if it's later in the game and stuff. And I'd like to see Patrick start again. And yeah, I'd like to see Sorloth, but I don't think he should start. I think he should come on if we're sort of like 1-1 at half time. He might come on, and we'll see what he's going to do.
Just want to point out how adorable it is that you refer to Van Aanholt by his first name.
He's my boy, isn't it?
Is the name on the back of your shirt? Is it just Patrick?
It's just Van Aanholt. Yes, I should have just got Patrick, and it would have been better. To be fair,
yeah, absolutely. And then you could have just, the next Patrick we have could have used it for him.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised if we played something similar. Sub out Zaha for Lee and change Kelly for Sacco. I think that would be what we go with. However, I would like us to maybe put Lee on the right, Townsend on the left, or however you want them, and then go with a 3 of Kabay, Milivojevic, and Riedevalder in midfield. That would be nice. I'd like that a lot. Big fan of Riedevalder, as I think we all are.
Yep.
especially in midfield. I think he's a really tidy little player in midfield. And I think that would be nice. That'd give us a nice bit of passing range that we kind of don't quite get with MacArthur. But equally, we would need somebody to make those runs into the box I mentioned earlier. So maybe Kabay off in around 50, 55 minutes and see where we are and how to go from there. Yeah, I'd be happy enough with that lineup.
Okay. One last thing before we end. I want to talk about our run of our next 6 games, basically, because they're not exactly pretty ones. We have Everton next. That could be a manageable game. After which we have Tottenham at home, United at home, Chelsea away, Huddersfield away, Liverpool home. How fucked are we?
Well, Liverpool will be charitable and they'll give us the customary 3 points. But, obviously. I reckon we're going to get 2 points out of our next 5 games. I reckon we'll get a point off Everton and we'll get a point off Huddersfield. Maybe sub off that point at Huddersfield for like a random point at, against Man U or against Chelsea with the kind of form they're in, assuming Conte makes it that far, of course. But yeah, these games are mostly write-offs, aren't they? You look at them and think you're not going to get much from that. That Spurs game, you're probably not going to get anything from United, probably not anything from Chelsea. The only ones that you can look at and think are winnable are Huddersfield and Everton, really, realistically.
Yeah, you just got to hope that Everton doesn't bounce back. And I mean, I've got all the intentions to go to Huddersfield as well, just to never been there, want to sort of see the stadium and stuff. And I'd like to give them the 3-0 defeat that they gave us at the start of the season. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I remember last season we beat Arsenal and Chelsea? I remember I bought loads of Krispy Kremes for the office and I said, come on, all Arsenal and Chelsea fans, come and mop up your tears. And I'd love to do that with the Chelsea fans again, just to see them come down and just take them and just be like, God, this guy. So yeah, we'll see.
That would be good, wouldn't it? By the way, Krispy Kreme, if you're listening, we are taking sponsorships. But
please send us money.
Yeah, or donuts. Send us donuts. Donuts
that works.
Yeah, for the office, for when we win against Arsenal again and Chelsea. When we'll do it next season, though, because we've been showing up this season, I think. Luckily, I didn't get any Krispy Kremes for them winning against us, though. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Wow.
Well, if we do beat Chelsea, we've done the double over them this season.
Yeah, true, actually. Yeah.
That would be great.
I would be so smug.
Oh.
So smug. Well, anyway, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you two for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah. Been great.
We'll see, obviously, everyone in the next one for the Everton roundup. Hopefully it's a happy one.
Definitely.
A lot of Shank Tosin has anything to say about it.